Which hairdryer and diffuser is best for naturally curly hair? Let's break it down. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Gina and here I make videos all about naturally curly hair. I love doing simplified step-by-step tutorials, helping you problem solve with your curls and helping you select the right products and tools for your curls. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, be sure to do so before you go. So I'm going to be comparing all of the best curly hair dryers and diffusers ranging from $25 to $430. So let's go ahead and dive in. So I'm going to be starting from the most expensive to the least expensive, and I'll have timestamps down below if you want to skip to a certain one, but I will be talking about how they all compare to each other throughout the entire video, so it should all be helpful. So let's first start with the Dyson. I'm not going to spend that much time on the Dyson because I don't personally recommend the Dyson for your curls. Now, if you already have the Dyson, that's fine. Just make sure you're using that cold shut button so you're not burning your curls. But my biggest issue with the Dyson is that it gets way too hot for naturally curly hair. And it definitely dries the hair fast, but the diffuser on it is just not great. So I don't personally find it to be worth the high price point of about $430. I just do not think that is worth it at all. And especially if you're just getting started with your curls, if you have damaged hair that's very fragile, I do not see the need at all to invest in something that expensive that's too hot for your curls. I've actually done a whole video comparing the Dyson to the Shark. I had the Dyson there in the video and I showed you how to use it. I did a whole dry time test, so if you want to see that, I will have it linked below for you to watch after this video. So now let's talk about the Shark HyperAir with the IQ Curl Defining Diffuser. So this is the closest design to the Dyson, but this one is much more affordable. It's actually half the price at about $230. So this is so unique in that the design of the diffuser is really designed for curls and it's very unique. I've never seen a diffuser like this. And it has these IQ stylers that when you attach them, they will auto adjust the settings based on the attachment that you use. So that's much different than any other hairdryer. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And it does have the adjustable prongs. I would say that's the biggest difference with the Shark compared to other diffusers that I'm going to talk about, is it has these adjustable prongs. So I've talked before on my channel how important it is to make sure that your diffuser prongs are long enough to reach your roots. That's going to make sure that your hair dries faster, and it's really going to help give you that lift in volume from diffusing. So these prongs are super long. I have them fully extended right now, but you can also retract them in. So you might want to retract these in if you just don't like them that long. Maybe your hair is not that thick and you don't need that long of diffuser prongs. You can totally do that, but I usually just leave mine fully out. So the one downside to this is some people find it to be too hot for curly hair, just like the Dyson. I actually did a temperature test with each heat setting on all of these dryers, and I'm going to list the temperatures on the blog post that goes with this video. I'm actually going to have a whole chart covering the details, so it's going to be like a shopping guide for you to compare all of the different dryers here, but I have the different heat temperatures on there. So the heat settings on this are very similar to the Dyson, but slightly less heat, just a hair. And that's just with my measurements using a thermometer. So I do like this design and I love this diffuser design, but I will say you do need to incorporate the cold shot button if you have fragile hair. Now, if you have healthy hair, I definitely think that this would be totally fine as long as you're incorporating the cold shot button so that way it doesn't get too hot. But the main advantage over this compared to the Dyson is it actually does regulate its heat a lot more times per second. That was one thing that I found when researching for that last comparison video that I did. So it doesn't get too hot as you are diffusing. And I will say that all of these other diffusers that I'm going to mention, or the hair dryers, they actually do sustain that temperature and they don't get overly hot, or they don't start to heat up too much the longer that you're diffusing, and that's really important for curly hair. So basically, if you have very fragile, damaged hair, this is probably going to be too hot for you, but if you have fairly healthy hair and you like high heat and you like a fast dry time and you like this diffuser design, this is the one you'll want to go with. So I can usually diffuse my hair anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes using this, depending on the styling products and how much water is in my hair when I'm styling. So I've actually never really used the other attachments, but it does come with a lot of other attachments specifically for blowing out the hair and curling the hair that you can also use that are kind of similar to the Dyson, but they have that IQ technology to where they will auto adjust the settings. So even though the Shark does have a high heat, I've never personally gotten damage from it, and I do pay attention. I always keep a close eye on my ends. I never got damage from it, but my hair doesn't have like the bleach highlights like it used to, so I think it can withstand a little bit more. Also, I do really like the design of this diffuser. It's definitely really great. So I still really like the Shark. It is just pretty high heat for some people. Next hairdryer is the Curlsmith Defrizzion with the XXL diffuser. This one's probably one of the most unique diffuser heads because it is so large. So this hairdryer and diffuser is about $189, so it is cheaper than the Shark. And look how big this is. It's literally as big as my head. So the biggest advantage of this one is it's super lightweight. The large diffuser size allows it to cover a large surface area of your head. So I still find that I get my hair dry fast and it doesn't get too hot. So this hairdryer is specifically designed for naturally curly hair, and so the temperatures are much lower. I even usually diffuse my hair on the hottest heat setting, and it's still not too much heat. So on my chart, I have that the highest heat setting is about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And just for reference, the Shark, the lowest heat setting is at 137 degrees Fahrenheit. So the highest heat setting on here is the same as the lowest on the Shark. So this one is more so designed for fragile curls. If your hair is damaged, any type of curls that are really prone to damage, very fine hair, or if you have a lot of breakage, you would want to go with something like the Curlsmith that has more variety in the heat setting. So with the Shark, you can really only use the lowest heat setting or incorporate the cold shot button if you need to. Whereas this one, you have a variety of different options that you can use. You can totally get away with the warm setting or even the lowest one if you do like to diffuse with just like cool air. So it has the cold shot button, it has a cool, a warm, and a hot. So even though this has a lower heat setting, I can still dry my hair in anywhere from 9 to 15 minutes. I've actually diffused my hair in 9 minutes, which is crazy. I mean, I know I do have low density hair and I do usually style my hair damp, not soaking wet. I usually scrunch out the excess water with a towel before I diffuse. But even with all of that, that's still the lowest dry time out of all of the hair dryers that I'm going to mention today. And I think it's because of the large size. Like, I'm able to literally fit an entire like side of my head into this when I diffuse, and then I just do the other side. So I'm really only doing two sides. Instead of like with the smaller diffuser head, you have to work in just these little sections all over your head. This gets it done all in just two sections for me. A couple other things that I really like about the Curlsmith hairdryer is it actually has this kickstand on the back. So if you're someone with a limited range of mobility, or if you just don't like to hold your dryer, you can just set it down on a surface and then just place your hair in it and it will hold it up. It is very lightweight. This one is one of the lighter ones that I have. It says it's about 1.63 pounds with the diffuser attached to it, and that is lighter than both the Shark and the Dyson. So the one downside to the Curlsmith dryer is the size of it. You can see it is pretty large, like even the hair dryer part of it. So if you're someone that just doesn't like to maneuver with a larger hair dryer, you might find this too large, and it's also not very travel friendly because it's so large. If you don't have a lot of space in your suitcase, you can detach the diffuser head and then store them separately, which does help, but it is a lot to store something that is this large. But I'm just glad that it is lightweight, so it doesn't feel heavy. At least it is one of the most lightweight options that I have. I do think that some people who have very short hair, if you have very low density hair, if you just have a small head, or if you are using it on a kid, I could see where maybe the very large size would be too much for you. Like, you can't like maneuver around as easily. I'm not sure, but for my hair length, it works totally fine. I have like a medium hair length, and I'm sure it would also work great with longer hair too, because it is so large, so you can fit all of the hair into the diffuser head. So this one only has 2 speed settings, which is different compared to both the Shark and the Dyson, and then it has the 4 heat settings. So the next dryer that I wanted to talk about is the BioIonic GoldPro speed dryer with their universal diffuser attachment. I actually featured this in a video that I did called the mistakes that you might be making when you're diffusing that are causing frizz. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. But this one is very similar to the Curlsmith one, but it's smaller and it's also slightly cheaper. So the base of it is $135, and then the universal diffuser head that goes on it is $30, so that comes to about $165 total, which is cheaper than the $189 for the Curlsmith one, and it is smaller. I will say that the Curlsmith one does dry my hair faster compared to this one, but this one definitely still gets the job done and I think is a really good option. So in terms of the heat settings, there are 4 heat settings, and the temperatures are very similar to the Curlsmith ones. You do have a wide variety of temperatures, so you can do a cool, a warm, and a hot, but the temperature is slightly hotter than the Curlsmith one. And that's just with me doing testing with a thermometer at home, so it could totally vary, but that's just what I found, is it was slightly higher temperature, but overall pretty much the same. The other main advantage of this this one is the diffuser head is universal. So if you just wanted to get a diffuser and you like your hair dryer, or you don't want to purchase a hair dryer, you can just buy this diffuser on their website. So it's about 30 bucks. The other cool thing about this one is the diffuser head, you can actually adjust the airflow. So it's not like the Shark diffuser where you can retract the prongs, but you can actually turn it and you can adjust like how much air is coming out. So it covers the holes or it opens up more of the holes. It also has holes in the prongs. I think all of these do, I'm pretty sure, have air holes in the prongs, so that way the air is actually reaching your roots. And this one does have prongs that stick out a little bit further compared to the other hair dryers. So this one probably has the longest prongs. So if you really like using the prongs to get root volume and that is something that's important to you, you can definitely use this. I will say this is probably the smallest diffuser head that I have, and I noticed that when I'm using it, I do have to kind of work in multiple sections compared to the Curlsmith one that fits it all in one side. But overall, still a really great option. This is also the smallest one that I have. You can see the size of the hair dryer itself. They make lots of different hair dryers. I just went with this one in particular because it was the cheapest and it's also the smallest, so it's a little bit more travel friendly. I do usually take this one with me when I'm traveling because it is a lot smaller. So in terms of dry time, I can get my hair dry in about 14 to 20 minutes with this. Now, I did mention how the heat settings are pretty much the same as the Curlsmith dryer, but that is more dry time compared to the Curlsmith one. So that I think is due to the larger size, and I think that's definitely why the Curlsmith one has the shortest dry time for me. So last but not least is the Conair InfinitiPro. This is the texture styler, and it does come with the diffuser head that only fits on this dryer. So this is one of the most affordable hair dryers that I have. It's usually around $35 on Amazon, but I have seen it as low as about $25 when it is on sale, like around the holidays and stuff. They do run this on sale quite a bit, so you can get it as low as about $25 sometimes, which is extremely affordable. This option I think is great for beginners. This is usually what I purchase for friends and family who are getting started with their curls. I've even included this in giveaways before. It's just a really solid option and I used it for years. It's definitely one that is designed for curls because it does not get too hot. This has a cool, a warm, and a hot setting. Even the hot is not too terribly hot, but I usually use the warm with this one, and then it has the two speeds, the high and the low. The one thing that I'm noticing as I'm looking at this more though is it doesn't actually have holes in the prongs like the other ones do, but I didn't find it to like not dry my roots or anything. It still did pretty good. And I also don't see where the airflow really comes through this. Like it just has like this cage design in it, but it doesn't have holes like where the air is actually coming out, but I still think it filters the air pretty good. Like it doesn't blow my hair all over the place. I've never had issues really with frizz with that, but I do notice that as a difference compared to the other ones where there's actual holes like right at the opening of the nozzle, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit different of a design. It's also the deepest bowl out of all of these that I have, except for maybe the BioIonic one. That one has a pretty deep bowl too, which is helpful for like cupping all of the hair and holding the hair in the diffuser, whereas the more flatter designs like the Curlsmith one or even like the Dyson has a pretty flat design, that's really good for shrinkage because it keeps all of your curls really, you know, scrunched up against your head in that flat design, whereas a deeper bowl is probably not going to give quite as much shrinkage because the hair is kind of just gathered around in the bottom of the bowl. But I definitely recommend having a bowl that at least goes in a little bit, that way it will hold the curls better. I could also see potentially people that have a looser curl pattern or waves or even like a straighter texture having issues with the cage design with the hair potentially going through it, but it's not like getting into the coils or anything. It would just maybe come through here. I've never noticed that with my curls, but that is something to keep in mind because of the design of that diffuser head. So this may be a little bit too deep for those that are really looking to enhance shrinkage, or if you have very short hair or like a pixie cut, I could see that being difficult to really get your curls to shrink up if you're not able to get it to press all the way to your head, you know, because it does have that deeper bowl design. So overall, I think it's great for any hair texture, any curl type, and also any damage level because it does have those cooler settings, so you could use this if you have more fragile hair. So in terms of the heat settings, this actually gets a little bit hotter than the BioIonic one and slightly hotter than the Curlsmith one. So if you do want a little bit higher heat compared to those really low heat ones, but you don't want something as hot as the Shark, this would be your go-to. So how do you pick which one is best for your curl type and your needs? Well, I recommend checking out the chart that I'm gonna have on the blog post. It will be linked in the description box right below the video. And I'm also going to be covering more details on there, such as the wattage, the cord length, the noise level, the dimensions, like everything that you would need to know, all the different specs about all of these dryers, because I know a lot of you had questions about some of the other details, where they're available. So check my description box below for that blog post link, and you can bookmark that if you need to refer back to it when you're trying to shop for one. So if you enjoyed this video and if you want to learn more about diffusing, check out the video that's linked right here on the screen. It's called How to Diffuse Curly Hair, and I show you different diffusing techniques. So if you want to find the right technique for your hair type, I explain all the different ways that you can diffuse and really break it down in a simplified way. So I hope you find that video helpful as well, and I will talk to you over there. Bye everyone.